Maurice Beta, Helpful Trucker here. Welcome back to the channel. Haven't recorded a video in a few weeks for you guys, and so I wanted to just come on here and talk for a little bit about some things that I've been thinking about as far as going forward as an owner-operator, being that I'm about to get my own truck. You know, the date today is February the 23rd. Just walking in the house. I'm about to get my truck here in the next few weeks. April the 1st is the deadline for me. Hopefully I'll be able to make it happen before then, but that's the deadline for me. But just thinking about what the future holds, just kind of thinking about what I want the next few years to look like as a new owner operator, and kind of thinking about maybe any of you guys that's just coming in the trucking profession, any of you guys that's just about to become an owner operator, anyone that wants to become an owner operator and get their own truck. I'm gonna talk about some things in this video that I have to consider going forward in my business, right, as a truck driver. The way I see it, I'm about to get my own truck, and I would like to get myself in a position where I've got some different financial options in the next 10 to 12 years, maybe 15 years at the most. I'm 45 years old right now, and I personally believe that, like, right now in life, I'm gonna be vulnerable with you guys for a little bit, because this is kind of what I'm thinking about, why I wanted to come on and do this video. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm behind in life, and I don't really have a problem saying that, because probably most of the viewers that are watching this, there's probably a large portion of you guys that feel like you're behind in life as well. So again, I'm 45 years old. I'm just about to get my own truck. I've only been driving a truck for 5 years now for my dad. And I'm about to get my own truck right now. So just thinking about what I want the next 10 to 15 years to be like. I feel like I'm going to be out on the road for at least another 10 years. And I would like to put myself in a position where I've got some different financial options by the time, no later than I'm 60, no later than the time that I'm 60. I personally believe that if you're just looking at getting your own truck, it doesn't matter what age you are, but especially if you're new or if you're young and you're looking to get started as an owner operator at a young age, some of the stuff that I'm gonna share with you, some of the thoughts that I'm gonna share with you in this video, in my opinion, are absolutely critical for an individual that's just getting started as an owner operator to be thinking about. Because the objective is to get to the point that you feel like you have more control in your life. That's one of the reasons why I want to own my own truck. I want to make more money, but I want to feel more in control of how much I can make, my financial future, and my life in general. That's the reason I believe why most people choose to start their own business. If that doesn't make sense to you, wanting more control over your life, then think of it this way. Nobody wants less control over their life. Think of the individual that comes to mind when you think of the phrase out of control. Nobody wants to feel out of control. Everybody wants to feel more in control. So I'm thinking that anybody that's looking at getting their own truck, that's probably one of the main motives. You want to get to the point eventually that you feel more in control over your finances and over your life. And I know a lot of truck drivers that have been owner operators for 10 years. I know a lot of owner operators that have been driving their own truck for more than 10 to 15 years. And I also know several owner operators that have not achieved what I would like to achieve in the next 10 years, which essentially would be, I want to say financial freedom, but at least financial independence. And the way that I define that, financial freedom, I would define as basically you have enough money or you have enough income coming in from the assets that you own or have equity in or have control of, that you have enough money coming in from those sources to take care of yourself financially for the rest of your life. That's how I would define financially free. Financially independent, I would define as you're in a position where you don't have to have a job. You have enough money coming in and you have control of enough assets or resources where there's enough that comes in where you don't have to physically go out and trade your work for labor. I believe that most owner operators, even though we all love driving a truck, that's the reason why most of us become owner operators and get our own trucks. We all love driving a truck, but I would assume that that's the reason why, that's the core reason why a lot of owner operators, most of them would be still driving a truck after 12 or 15 years. If I would guess, I would say, and I don't know this from firsthand, so this is speculation, I have to admit, but I would guess that most owner operators that have been out on the road of 12 or 15 years, if they're still doing it, then it could be because of the pleasure of driving, but it's probably because they are dependent upon doing that to pay their bills. And while there's nothing wrong with that, again, you want to be in control of your life. You want to feel like you have options. You want to feel like you have choices. And so I believe that just coming in as a new owner operator, your primary concern should be to put yourself in a position immediately, as soon as possible, where you have that kind of freedom, where you have those kind of choices. And so the question is, can you do that in 10 or 12 years? Now, I haven't done that in the last 10 or 12 years of my life. So what I'm seeking to do in the next 10 or 12 years is something that I haven't done in the last 10 or 12 years. So I know that I'm going to have to do some things differently. But for the individual that's just getting started as an owner operator, I believe that, I'm just going to roll off some things that I believe that I have to factor in my plan going forward for the next 10 or 12 years. And if you're just getting started, I believe if you take these things into account, they will definitely lead to you putting yourself in a position where you have some choices with your life within the next 10 or 12 years. A lot of people talk about being able to do that. But again, I don't know a lot of people that have been owner operators for 10 or 12 years that have achieved at least financial independence. Okay. So one of the first things that I believe that I need to factor in more heavily in the future than I have in the past is ownership. And I don't mean ownership from like the perspective of just owning a house or owning a business. Of course, those things are important, but understanding like ownership is what keeps an individual from jumping through hoops. As a self-employed individual right now in most of my adult life, the reason I don't get much joy from a job working for others is because I don't like jumping through hoops, okay? And I feel like as long as I'm in a position, or you are in a position, or we are in a position where we have to seek for jobs, we have to seek for employment, we have to seek for loans, as long as we're in a position where we have to seek for these things, then because we don't have ownership, which gives us more control when it comes to those things, we're always going to be in a position where we're subject to, which means we're always going to feel like we're having to jump through hoops when it comes to our finances, okay? And so one thing I would think that the individual that's just getting started as an owner operator needs to be thinking about is ownership. I was reading something recently that said something to the effect of all of the cash, all of the money that's currently in circulation right now as we speak, 1/5 of it was printed up after 2020, which basically means that a lot of money is being printed, which basically means that the money that you and I work hard to earn and to put away and to save, you could argue the point that they are printing it faster than you and I can work hard and put and save it, basically, okay? Which basically means that what we're saving for now, based on the price of things now, it's only going to get, the cost of goods is only going to get higher in the future. Our savings, we're only going to lose purchasing power as we go forward, as more money continues to get printed, which means that if your only means of having money is to earn money, if you're not earning money from the ownership in something, that means you're having to trade your time, which is your most precious resource, to earn money, and then you save that money, and then that money loses purchasing power while you save it, which is really kind of ridiculous. And the only way around that, the only way to put yourself in control of that situation is to become an owner. Ownership is important because, again, I don't like to jump through hoops, and I feel like the only thing that keeps us from jumping through hoops is ownership, right? Thinking about that inflation piece and how it affects our savings, that means that going forward, you're going to have a whole lot of money. If the cost of goods is going up, which it is, in the last since 2021 has started, fuel prices have gone up $1. And that's not necessarily because of inflation. But the point is, the cost of things are going up. And fuel prices have gone up $1 just in the last few months. And it's always like that. Fuel prices are always low during an election year. And after the election year, they're higher. Okay. But the point is, going forward in the next 10 or 12 years, I would assume you're going to have a lot of money, which means you're going to have to be earning money from ways and sources other than just you trading money for your time. You're going to have to be earning money from ownership in things. You're going to have to figure out a way. If you are coming in and becoming an owner operator, if you're going to be out on the road all the time, try to figure out a way to eliminate one of your biggest expenses, which would be a place to stay. A mortgage. A lot of people that are on the road that come in and know they're going to be out over the road, for 5 or 10 years or 5 or 7 years or 3 to 5 years or however long they're going to do that. They figure out a way to eliminate one of the biggest expenses that most of us have every month, which is our mortgage or our rent, our living expenses. Okay. You can, there's other people that do house hacking now, okay, where you can get a property that like a triplex or a fourplex, and you can live in one side and rent out the other units, or even a duplex. You can live in one side and rent out the other side. So that basically means that you're able to live rent free or mortgage free. Or if you're going to be out on the road for a while and you just might elect not to have a mortgage, not to have a house for a few years. This is one of those things. This is one of those angles. This is going to give you and me a leg up. Because again, we're going to have to create a lot of money over the next 10 to 12 years to put ourselves in the position where we have options. And so figuring out all of those little angles and little things that we can do to give ourselves an advantage to be able to leverage our resources, that's gonna put us light years ahead of the game. 10 years is not a long time, but in my opinion, 10 years is a long enough time for an owner operator to come out and set himself up in a position where he has replaced his income, or maybe even in a position where that individual can afford to live off of the income that the investments that they have made is pulling in. Because again, if all we can do is earn money from trading our time, and then we are going to try to outsave inflation and the cost of goods going up, and we're going to try to get all of this done in the next 10 years, that's going to be pretty difficult. Again, that's going to be pretty difficult. So figuring out a way to be able to replace my income, figuring out a way to be able to replace your income. And here's the thing, there's another step to that, because a lot of people will say, replace my income and then I can quit my job, then I can stop driving the truck. No, replace your income, and if you stop driving the truck, then you still don't have much money coming in. Replace your income and then continue to drive the truck. Continue to bring in money from this source while the other source just bills, and you can just save all of it. You can bank 100% of it. Replacing your income only to quit doing what you're doing, your main source of income, you're still in a position where you only have one source of income, and you can't, that inhibits your ability to be able to grow. So being able to put yourself in a position where you've replaced your income with ownership in some asset where it's throwing off enough money where you can live off of what that asset is generating for you, and then not just replacing your income, but replacing it 2 and 3 and 4 times. And then keeping that up for a while, for 5 to 7 to 10 years. That, I believe, would put an individual in a position where they've got some choices, kind of a combination of some of these things, eliminating your mortgage or your rent in addition to figuring out a way to invest most of your earned income and not spend your earned income on depreciating things or things that don't make you any money, saving that money and investing it in something that's going to make you money, and then spending that money. That is, to me, the lifestyle that an individual needs to be prepared to live for 10 years as an owner operator, if they want to put themselves in a position where we can have some options in 10 or 12 years. Getting your credit straight. Because credit is resources, right? So cash is what you can get. You can get what you get with cash, but credit is a step further. So what you can't get with cash, you can get with credit. So like, okay, the cash will allow me to be able to get something, but having a way to be able to get something is just as valuable as having the money to be able to buy what you need. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And that's what credit allows us to be able to do. That's what good credit will allow you to be able to do. Having a way to be able to get something is just as valuable as having the money to be able to pay to get what you need. So if your credit's not good when you get started as an owner operator, which a lot of people isn't, that I get it, but don't feel bad, because there are a lot of people that have jobs that make good money that still don't have good credit. And that's just because people aren't financially literate, basically. So, I mean, if you're just getting started as an owner operator and you don't have credit, you're going to pay more for everything. But, get started now building your credit. Try to take out some sort of a self-lender loan or something like that, where basically you borrow the money, and you can do this from some banks. There's even a website, I believe, that does this. Selflender.com is the name of the website, I believe. But you essentially take out a loan, and the loan proceeds don't go to you. Basically, they don't go to you right then. They're not accessible by you at that point. And you pay the payments back on the loan that you just took out for 2 to 3 years. When you pay the loan off, you've established some sort of payment history for the last 2 to 3 years on that loan. And then the funds that you borrowed become accessible to you at the end of you paying off the loan, so that you've built some credit with the loan, and you've also saved some money. That's why they call it a self-lender loan. Or just go and get an unsecured card from some bank and make sure you pay good on it for a while. Or excuse me, a secured card from some bank, and make sure you pay good on it for a while, and it'll become an unsecured card, and start building up your credit. And the best thing you can, it takes time to do that, but the best thing you can do to build up your credit is pay your bills on time. Keep your credit utilization on your credit cards, once you get approved for them, low. That's the best thing you can do, and it takes time to build your credit. Building your credit is important because it establishes you. People can trust. If people can't trust you with anything, then it's gonna make opportunity difficult. Opportunity is gonna cost you more if your credit's not good. So if your credit's not good, start working on it from day one as an owner operator. There really is no shortage of money on this planet. There's a shortage of cash, maybe, but when you factor in credit to the money equation, there's no shortage of money on this planet. It really isn't. Which means that there's no reason why any of us should have less than we need. There's enough out there for everybody. I honestly do believe that. And again, because when you when you go to a furniture store, or when you go to here where I live at locally, it's the type of environment where you can go to an individual that owns a company or that doesn't own a company, and you can buy an item on credit with that individual, with that company. And when you do that, you have created credit. And because you've created credit, you've added to the economy. Just in that small transaction of creating credit between you and that individual. And so if you think of it from that perspective, there is no shortage of money, because credit is just like money, because being able to get something is just as valuable as having the money that allows you to be able to pay for something. So having the credit to get what you want, or having the money to get what you want, is just as valuable. And so from that aspect, there is no shortage of money. There's no reason why any of us should be shorter or have less money than we feel like we need. Again, I do believe that there is enough on this planet for everyone. There absolutely is. It's just digits. It's just digits on the computer. Most of the money, most of the time when I go to the store, I swipe my card. It's digits in my ledger, and it's digits in the company that I just did business with ledger. And I swipe my card, and my ledger goes down and their ledger goes up. It truly is just digits, and there's an unlimited amount of digits for you and I to be able to go out there and be able to get. So, but it will require us to be financially literate. It will require us to understand assets. It will require us to understand the difference in trading time for money as opposed to owning an asset that generates money. There's a reason why you and I don't have a problem going to the store and giving $3 or $4 or even $5 for the loaf of bread. That's because the loaf of bread has more value to us than the $3 or $4 or $5 that we have to exchange for getting the bread. So what's more valuable is the question. Is the bread more valuable or is the money more valuable? If you thought the money was more valuable, you wouldn't buy the bread. Because you think the bread is more valuable, you'll gladly exchange the money for it. And so in that equation, the individual that is on the top, that has the leverage in that situation, is the company that generates the bread, the product that is valuable enough that people don't have a problem trading their money for it. And when I understand that going forward, when we understand that, and then we put that in play in our businesses, in our life, and in our finances, with everything we do for an extended period of time, understanding that, we want to leverage our time, participating in activities and business models that allow us to be able to leverage our time. Okay. I'm not a proponent for network marketing, but it is a business that allows you to leverage your time, because you can train a team, and that team will, as they generate sales, you make money. Same thing with running some of these online businesses where you can create a product that you can sell over and over and over again, a digital product. Being able to leverage your time and being able to leverage your money. Take your money and put your money in something where it will work for you, so that you don't have to work for it. Because it's going to be one way or the other. Either we're going to work for money or money is going to work for us. And I believe that if I'm diligent over the course of the next 10 or 12 years, I can put myself in a position where I've got enough money working for me, where once I'm 57 to 60 years old, from that point on, I can have money working for me, as opposed to me having to focus on working for money. And then I believe when I get to that point, I can get a lot more enjoyment and a lot more fulfillment out of being a truck driver, and out of life in general, right? So here's the question of the day. I didn't want to drag this out as much as I did, but I kind of had this on my heart and I wanted to give this to you guys. Here's the question of the day. Here's the question I want you to answer down in the comments if you're still listening at this point. How do you double a dollar? Okay? How can you double a dollar? I feel like this is a simple question, but if it was a question that most of us had the answer to, America probably wouldn't be in the financial situation as a whole as we are right now. We would have more wealth than we do debt if we understood that. So, simple question. Drop it down in the comments. In your opinion, how do you double a dollar? I've asked people this question before and I've gotten all kinds of answers. I've gotten I don't know before. Okay? It's interesting. We know how to make money, but we don't necessarily know what to do with it when we get it, other than just pay bills off with it. But as far as how to keep it and how to make it grow, that is where we lack at. So, how do you double a dollar? Drop it down in the comments. This is Maurice Bay. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you got value from it.